Good afternoon, or good morning, or afternoon, whatever's appropriate for where you are when you watch this. I'm trying this new broadcast called God of All Gods. I think it's going to turn into something good, but you'll get to decide. Today we're going here. Our gifts, talents, and abilities are but sophistry and worse, if not lent to the Lord. That sentence comes from a quote by an unknown man, but few things ever uttered are truer than that statement. For if we are given much, then much is also required of us. It's very scriptural. This is the words of Jesus, and it's pretty straightforward. Everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required. There is an accountability for the gifts, talents, and ability that God gives us. And it'll come to bear in the future at the judgment seat of Christ. In fact, to have something lent to us by God and left unused yields a worse fate than having no assets at all in eternity. Because if you're going to stand before Jesus for your evaluation at the Bema Seat, and you are not giving any gifts, talents, or abilities, then there's not much required of you. But all of us have been given things to use to serve him. And you know what they are, and you know whether or not you've used them or not. So just know there will be an accountability for that. Here's the rest of the quote from the guys. And it says, "And that which decorated us in the flesh will be more like a millstone around our eternal necks if we fail to use our gifts for the giver." I believe the works of a Christian will be judged by one question at the Bema Seat from Jesus himself. I believe the question is, what did you do with what you were given? Now, I will tell you right now, there's not a scripture that says exactly what I just said, but there are multiple scriptures that point us to that accountability. And I believe the accountability is around this very question. I won't go so far as to say that if you don't use what God gives you, that then you won't be saved, because that's not good doctrine. We're saved by grace through faith and not by works. So I don't want to introduce some new doctrine that says saved by grace, kept by works. That's foolishness. But there's a seriousness to what we do or not do with the things God gives us. But I will go this far. To fail to use what God gives us with will cause us to lose assurance of salvation in this life and yield deep regret in eternity when you get to see firsthand how worthy God is of our worship and our service. And so I want to leave you with this. The question at the Bema Seat. And the Bema Seat, if you're not familiar, will take place right after the rapture, takes place in heaven. So this is not a test to see if you get into heaven or not. You're there. But you do not want to be the person who stands there and shrugs their shoulders when Jesus says, "What did you do with what I gave you?" You don't want to be the person who says, I didn't do much with it, Lord. I'm sorry, I wish I'd have thought about it more. Too late. Again, you're saved, but I believe there's going to be some regret goes with that throughout eternity. Always being reminded of what could have been. Sure, you're in heaven, and you'll enjoy a lot of good things in heaven. But once you see Jesus, you don't want to disappoint him. So I'll leave you with that. What did you do with what you were given?